ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देवा सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। गुरुब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुदेवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। Namaste. Team Param Vedanta extends a warm welcome for the 15th session of Panchadashi. We continue our study of chapter 1 Tattva Viveka. In today's session, we cover verses 57 to 60, and we have with us Dr. Chandrakala, Srimati Chetana, Dr. Divakar, and Srimati Dola explaining today's verses. Our revered teacher, Dr. Timappa Hegde sir, will be moderating today's session, wherein he will introduce us to the topic and provide us deeper insights, facilitating manana after Shravana of each of these verses. Today's teaching quiz is being conducted by Sri Ullas Ameria. Before we begin today's verses, as always, let us recap the verses studied in the previous week, which will be presented by Sri Ullas. Over to you, Ullas.
Thank you, Vasumati ji. Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. In the last classes, we have already discussed that there are certain very important aspects in the whole spiritual journey. We have to understand Jiva, Jagat, Ishwar and all. And one of the most rigorous practices that we have, which we all need to undergo, is sadhana. And in the sadhana, different aspects are there. We have Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, and the final stage is Samadhi. So in 53 to 56, we went through what is Shravanam, what is Mananam, how do we get to Nididhyasanam, where what starts and all. So we'll just have a quick recap of that. So Shravanam ideally means all the things that we would hear, all the knowledge that the Guru tells us and all. But here specific meaning is Shravanam is the making us aware of the Mahavakya, the Aikyam of Brahman and myself. And Mananam means the removal of any doubts in that knowledge. The next slide, sir. So when we say Shravanam, one important thing that automatically comes is Shravanam literally means hearing. Hearing means if I'm hearing somebody saying something. So there is a guru. So there is a guru-disciple relationship is also being talked about. That there has to be love, harmony, closeness, and devotion. Only then the transfer of knowledge can happen. Can I read it from a book? The Swamiji say that who do you ask such a question? You'll need a guru to ask even that question. So you need a guru for that. And then also another thing you need the qualification for Shravana is sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. All the 4 Ds, discrimination, dispassion and all. One other thing we need to know of all this is because we have come to this stage is Jiva Jagata Ishvara, Panchakosha Viveka and all. And then the Mahavakya comes which tells that the Aikyam of Jiva and Brahma is there. So the next slide, we see what is Mananam. Mananam is removal of doubts. Why removal of doubts is important? Sir keeps telling us that example that if there is water and you have little bit of doubt that there might be 0.01% doubt that there might be poison, it will never consume it. So all this Shravanam thing that we have heard so far, all the knowledge, if we have little bit of doubt, we'll never implement it. And without implementation, all that knowledge is of no use. So we need to, if we want to get better than ignorance, then we need to have a doubt-free knowledge. And Guru is needed to clarify any and all of those doubts. How much ever we read, the books and the YouTube videos, this and that cannot completely take away those doubts. So we need that Guru, we need that compassion of the Guru, those, Kripa Drishti and Kataksh and all. And so Mananam, it's not that once the Shravanam ends is when the Mananam starts. It somewhere starts somewhere in the middle of the Shravanam exercise itself. We keep hearing, we keep getting doubts, we keep solving them, and it goes until the next stage of where we are trying to internalize that knowledge. Again, some doubts will come. So the Mananam goes until Nididhyasanam stage also. But it requires intense application of reason and logic. It is not that just we will believe. It is not about belief. Our Shastras don't tell us ki, okay, we have told this is it. We are encouraged to ask questions. We are encouraged to use reason and logic. And in this stage, we are reasoning it, not necessarily just feeling it. It is about like the chewing of the food. Shravanam is like taking the food, this is chewing the food. And then later on, we'll get to Nidindhyasana, where it is actually the body is using that energy of that chewed food. And here, What is important for Mananam is that we need to have that Chitta Shuddhi, that Chitta Ekagrata, all those qualifications that we talked about. Only then the Mananam will happen. Otherwise, this knowledge will just become good texts, but we will not be able to internalize it better. In the next slide, firm and undoubted conviction in reality. It is the starting point of Nididhyasanam, which is after Mananam, we have undoubted conviction. Okay, this is the reality, this is Brahman, I am Brahman. The Mahavakya mein, we totally believe. It is then when we have chewed the food completely, is when the digestion and really using of that food for our body to give energy happens. We are always dwelling in that same knowledge. I am Brahman, I am Brahman. It's not that I am Jiva and there is Brahman and or like I am different Brahman and all. So earlier we were taking effort, we were trying to do some meditation, we were trying to do some practice to get there, but now it goes from effort full to effort less meditation. When that happens, that is nididhyasanam. We may again get doubts as we discussed earlier, then again we go to mananam, then we again resolve that. The biggest hurdle that comes is like from that I am brahman, that brahmakar vritti, is that we get or keep that vritti which we have cultivated over millions of janmas is the I am Jiva that keeps coming back. We need to keep removing it. So that on and off, when we get those glimpses, now this is called Savikalpa Samadhi, where we actually feel that thing, but it goes away. Feel that thing, but it goes away. So in the next slide, we see um, that Savikalpa Samadhi, when it gets established, then this is called Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Then initially what used to be there was that there was a meditator. I was meditating upon something and then meditation was happening. So there was a Triputi there. Now what happens is in Nirvikalpa Samadhi is all those Vikalpas get dropped. There is no meditator. I become so one in that. When I'm watching, let's say, sometimes some show which is very much interesting for me, I sometimes lose myself, lose the sense of time and all that. The meditation, the practice also gets dropped. Only the object of meditation remains, the Brahman, that Brahmakar Vritti. Maintain a single thought, I am Brahman. That only remains. Now we are in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. He gives an example of Nivata Deepa Vachittam Samadhir Abhidhiyate. How is what is Samadhi? That my chitta, my mind becomes like a flame when the flame is there without any wind. So it's like absolutely still. Like that, my mind becomes. People from any religion can achieve this state. It's not only for Hindus or for Indians or anything. The Swamy Vidyaranya says that it is available to all humans. Next slide, sir. In Savikalpa Samadhi, the object of meditation can't be cognized. Now, another doubt that comes is that, okay, you are saying that there is no meditator. Now, is it not just a, are you not fooling us saying that there is no meditator when there is nothing actually something like a Nirvikalpa Samadhi? Because if you cannot experience, there is no experience, how do you know that it even exists? So then why don't you admit that it is an unexistent thing rather than you cannot just detect it? So then the answer for that he gives is that once the meditator comes out of Samadhi, he says that, yeah, I remember that experience. And because you remembers an experience, so something must have been there for that thought to even happen. So you cannot say that nothing was there. So it is by inference you are getting it, not by direct by direct cognition you are not getting it. There is an inference you are drawing. Like when you say that, okay, there is a well maintained garden, and but you don't see any gardener, so you can imagine that, okay, this garden is there, so well maintained, so maybe there was a gardener before me who has maintained this. So like that, with inference, Swamiji tells us this. So I think this is the last. So next slide. Okay, thank you. Hari Om.
Thank you very much, Ullas. That was a brilliant recap as always. Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om. As we have reached the topic of Vedantic meditation, let us be clear of what is Vedantic meditation. And as Vedanta has borrowed a lot from yoga and yogic meditation being very popular, let us see what is the difference between Vedantic meditation and yogic meditation. First, let us be very clear about certain things what Vedantic meditation is not. It is not a state of thoughtlessness. Unlike yogic meditation, where what is important is chitta vritti nirodha. In yoga, the state of meditation is achieved when there are absolutely no thoughts in the mind. And so the yogi is trained to attain through that state through dharana and dhyana and finally come to samadhi, where the mind is absolutely free from all thoughts. In Vedanta, we do not seek to empty our mind. Thoughts here are not the enemy. So, therefore, it is not for few things. Remember, in Vedantic meditation, meditation is not a means to gain new knowledge. Knowledge is always attained only through Shravanam and clarified in Mananam. So, through any form of meditation, we are not getting any newer knowledge. It is not a means for liberation. So again, in Vedanta, we're very clear, liberation comes from knowledge alone. Meditation is only a tool to remove obstacles. And where are the obstacles? The obstacles are two. One is before we come to Vedantic knowledge, in order to prime our mind to be able to have that chitta ekagrata. That means the mind should be single pointed. So we do various techniques called upasana. These are the unique things of Vedantic meditation. Here also, of course, if you will see chapter 6, Shri Krishna will borrow a lot of techniques from yogic meditation. So where are the obstacles? One is for jnana yogyata as through upasana. Subsequently, once I get that spiritual knowledge that I am not a limited individual, but I am Brahman itself, I am limitless. Now, because of the past vasanas, there is that process of removing the obstacles. So that is what is called nididhyasana. Finally, meditation is not for any material benefits. Of course, one material benefit comes as a byproduct. Our mind becomes calm, but that is not the real objective in Vedantic meditation. It is only a byproduct. We are not doing it here for any form of stress relief. Also, remember, sometimes through various forms of meditation, it is possible that various siddhis or special powers may come. Again, a student of Vedanta is taught it is not for any material benefits, including siddhis. So it is not to gain new knowledge, it is not for liberation, it is not for siddhis or for any material benefits whatsoever. Now, what is the core purpose? I have already told you two things. Before we enter into the portals of the teaching, that means we do various forms of upasana for chitta ekagrata. And once the knowledge has come, the vasanas or the tendencies that make me feel a limited individual, we do a process of nididhyasanam. It is like the knowledge has been given, but my sugar that I have put, which is knowledge, I am not able to experience it. So nididhyasanam is a process of stirring and making every bit of my personality imbued with this knowledge. So, what is Upasana? Upasana is Saguna Brahma Vishaya Manasa Vyapara. The teacher would give a form of a japa sadhana or mantra parayanam. So, all these techniques are to help the mind to be able to receive Vedantic meditation, Vedantic knowledge, and to make the mind calm and focused. How do we define Nididhyasanam? Nirguna Brahma Vishaya Manasa Vyapara. So it helps us to come to the fact that I am Atma Brahma, to be able to internalize the Mahavakyas. Now, what is the process? In yogic meditation, this is again described in the 6th chapter. Shri Krishna gives this process of, sitting alone in a quiet place with your eyes closed and so on. In Vedantic meditation, however, eye closure is not necessary. You are listening to me. You can keep your eyes open. And even with an open eye, it is possible for us to do meditation. So in Vedantic meditation, we can have both an open eye meditation and a closed eye meditation. The closed eye meditation is like in yogic process. We sit in a quiet place, we do a body scan, feel all the sensations in the body, use certain breath techniques to achieve a certain state of relaxation, practice mantra japa for certain parts so that the mind comes to a state of quietness. And then comes the process of uh, contemplation, contemplation on what I have learned already, asangoham, the various mahavakyas, and so that we have one thought only, and that is called Sajatiya Pratyaya Pravaha. So it is a similar set of thoughts. So, unlike in Vedantic meditation, where thoughts are a problem, in Vedantic, unlike yogic meditation, where thoughts are a problem, in Vedantic meditation, we make use of thoughts. So it is thought based meditation. Uh, so that and this thought-based meditation, it can be both an open eye meditation. Right now, I'm looking at various objects in the room, and these objects may seem to be a distraction. But what is a Vedantin trained? In every experience, yena rupam rasam gandha. So, in whatever transactions I'm doing, can I shift my attention from the object to the very subject? So that is, remember, Vedantic meditation. So the primary goal of yogic meditation is chitta vritti nirodha, cessation of all thoughts, and to achieve that state of utter thoughtlessness where the meditator is completely dissolved. It is like a sleep-like state, but the person is extremely alert, uh, in a trance-like state, uh, and that is the state of Nirvikalpaka Samadhi. Whereas the primary goal of Vedanta is this knowledge, the Mahavakya, has to be assimilated. That is what's also called Nididhyasanam. So if you can see in this thought, in Vedantic meditation, uh, thoughts are, I'm sorry, in yogic meditation, thoughts are an obstacle. They have to be eliminated. Whereas in Vedantic meditation, thoughts are a tool to understand our true nature. The role of Samadhi, Nirvikalpaka Samadhi, or the state of thoughtless absorption, is the ultimate goal and a means of liberation in yogic forms of meditation. Whereas in Vedantic meditation, we work on Savikalpaka Samadhi, where we take that one thought, which is Atma, and focus on that. Nirvikalpaka Samadhi may or may not happen. We do not give too much importance to that. And finally, there is a philosophical difference in yogic forms of meditation. The yoga is duality, that is Purusha versus Prakriti, whereas in Vedantic meditation, Brahman is the only reality and everything else is Mithya. Now, let us be very clear about what is Savikalpa Samadhi and Nirvikalpaka Samadhi. The word Vikalpa means distinction or differentiation, like Akhanda, Khanda or Akhanda. It refers to the mind's ability to create distinctions such I am the subject. This is the object of meditation, and I am now doing a process of meditation on that object of my interest. So there is always a triputi. Whenever there is this differentiation, it is called sa-vikalpa, with differentiation. The differentiation between the meditator, the object of meditation, the process of meditation, which is also called triputi, is very much there in savikalpa forms of Samadhi. Whereas in Nirvikalpaka Samadhi, the meditator has dissolved, and therefore there is only meditation that is happening. There is no object, there is no subject. So that is a state of absorption. That is what is called Nirvikalpaka Samadhi. Now, Savikalpaka Samadhi is a state of deep focused contemplation where the ego is present and functional, but it becomes completely peaceful and not problematic at all. So this is a state where it is very conducive for us to receive and process the highest form of spiritual knowledge. Key features of Savikalpa Samadhi. The Triputi is evident. That means I am aware that I am the Pramata. I know that I am meditating on the Mahavakya, and that process of Triputi is still very much there. There is a state of profound peace even as I'm going through that forms of meditation. The ego is present, the ahankara is there, but it is stripped of all its negative aspects like raga, dvesha, kama, krodha, and so on. Now, in Savikalpaka meditation, there is a deliberate effort. So, a certain effort has to be made to maintain the thought, I am Atma, Brahma. It is like learning how to cycle, ride a bicycle. So, there is a constant effort being made in Savikalpaka Samadhi. Continuing, the key features of Savikalpaka Samadhi. Now, remember, this is a temporary state. We enter into this state and we exit from the state. Now, what is Nirvikalpaka Samadhi? Now, what Nirvikalpaka Samadhi is an effortless absorption as per yoga. In yogic tradition, this is the ultimate objective to attain a state of trance or Nirvikalpaka Samadhi. There is the complete dissolution of the meditator. The ego has disappeared. There is temporarily no duality. I alone am. It is a trance-like state. Now, the crucial limitation is self-knowledge cannot be assimilated here because the mind, which is the locus of knowledge, mind where this knowledge happens, that is temporarily resolved. While it can be a transformative experience, it can give a taste of what the scriptures talk about. That is why in Vedantic meditation, because there is no assimilation of knowledge, and it is a very deeply relaxing process, much importance is not given here. And it may or may not happen. A person may be a jnani, but may not have Nirvikalpaka Samadhi. So again, in Vedantic meditation, what is Nirvikalpaka Samadhi? It is an effortless absorption, and it is also called a Sahaja Samadhi, which is a natural state of a jnani. It is not a meditative state as per yoga in the sense that the person is very much awake and is able to interact with all the surroundings. This is an important. So it is not a state of entering into a trance and exit into a exit. A jnani in Vedanta is effortlessly abiding in the fact of I am Atma Brahman in all his transactional state. His intellect is fully functional. So Triputi is seen as mithya. That means I do see others, but I don't distinguish as others. A jnani does not have a state of, he does not make although he sees others, but he does not differentiate. Now, this is a state of a jivan muktaha. In a sense, Advaitic meditation is a state of sahaja samadhi, where a person need not practice the fact that I am Brahman. It becomes a very natural and a spontaneous state. So ultimately, our whole hope is that from Sarvikalpaka Samadhi, a person comes to what we call Sahaja Samadhi, which is a natural state. So the first state is Savikalpaka Samadhi, where a deliberate effort is made on entertaining Vedantic thoughts of Aham Brahmasmi, I am Atma Brahma, where it is like a cyclist who's constantly, consciously meditating, pedaling. The second state is uh, through sustained practice, the effort comes down. The mind continues in the state of absorption. The ego becomes dormant. It is like cycle is now going on its own momentum. There is no more effort that is being done to maintain the state. And finally, the state of Sahaja Samadhi, where it has become so natural, no practice is required, no effort is required, and a person's natural state of a jnani. So there are certain distinctions between Vedantic meditation and yogic forms of meditation. As I said, let us give clearly certain importance to what is upasana that is done before Vedantic knowledge and nididhyasanam, which is done after the knowledge has been given. Now, in Drisha Viveka, Vidyaranya Swami gives a wonderful classification of meditation, which can be done as what is called open eye meditation and closed eye meditation. Whenever it is an open eye meditation, it is called Bahya. When it is a closed eye meditation, it is called Antara. Now, whether it is an open eye meditation or a closed eye meditation, you can meditate on whatever you see. And when you see an object and meditate on that object, when I meditate on that object, what is the effort? From the object, I move to the subject. That is, from the drishyam, I move to the drik. Now, this can be an external object in open eye meditation, or it can be a thought in a closed eye meditation. So that is called Antara or Bahya Drishya Anuvidya Savikalpaka Samadhi. So all these words come together. Then it can be on certain sounds. Now, during forms of meditation, we are given Mahavakyas. So when you meditate on Shabda Anuvidya, so when you make use of the sounds and meditate, it is Shabda Anuvidya Savikalpaka Samadhi. And finally, you have whenever you see an object outside, you are trained to see that object not as an object, but to see that as existence. So when a person gets into an absorption, whether it is open eye or closed eye, savikalpa or nirvikalpa, the person can come into a state of Nirvikalpaka Samadhi. And when there is a Nirvikalpaka Samadhi, there is a dissolution as far as the Shabda or Drishya, that dissolution happens. A state comes into a state of complete absorption. So therefore, you remember, in Vedanta, it can be open eye meditation or a closed eye meditation. It can be on an object, drishya anuvidya, or on a thought. It could be shabda that we have learned. So these are the 6 forms of meditation that we have studied. Now, this will help us as a background for the class today. Dr. Chandrakala will present the first verse. Dr. Chandrakala, please.
Thank you, sir. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Come to verse 57. Vruttinam anuruttihi tu prayatnat pratamad api adrushta asakrit abhyasa samskara sachivad bhavet. It is very clear from the previous verses that there is presence Brahmakara Vritti, even though it is not cognized. How is it possible? That is possible by recollection of the whole event later that is still present during Samadhi. We also said that in Samadhi, the sense of I is not present. Then the question arises, who is that experienced Samadhi? For that, Guruji gives an example. A visitor walks into a garden and sees everything in perfect order. The lawn is trim, the plants have grown well, everything around is neat and tidy. So it is understood that some gardener is looking after the premises. So in this verse, tu api in this verse refers to the wonder of how the experience of samadhi is continuing without the sense of I being there. Okay, so in the second line of this verse, it explains that the initial momentum of effort that went into establishing Brahmakara Vritti thought before going into Nirvikalpa Samadhi. This is said to be the force that sustained Brahmakara Vritti thought throughout the duration of the Samadhi. The greater is the force, the longer will be the meditator remain in Samadhi. So there are two other factors which assist in that momentum are explained in the line 3 and 4. Next slide, sir. The number one is Adrishta. Previous slide, sir. Sorry. Previous slide, sir. Number one is Adrishta. That is our good karma. That can be called as punya or merit. So good deeds bring punya, which is associated with all joys of life. Even good sleep also is associated with Adrishta. Similarly, bad deeds bring papa, that is demerit, which are associated with sorrows. Since Nirvikalpa Samadhi brings one of the highest form of joy, that is called bliss, we can quote the same reason here also. The second factor which is associated is Asakrit Abhyasa Samskara, that is Purushartham. Yeah, correct. Next slide, sir. Next slide. So the constant effort which is made previously to establish a Nirvikalpa Samadhi, all attempts to attain Samadhi, all the time spent in practicing meditation, which includes all failure attempts also. This Purushartha include all the sacrifice made in adjusting our lifestyle to make time for practicing meditation, that is family, society, etc. The dividends are paid when one gets their assistance at the time of sitting in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. This is for all of us who do meditation, that no trials or effort or sacrifice that have made wasted. So Swamiji gives an example in general here. The habit of drinking alcohol may be detestable in the beginning, but through repetition, it is made into an habit and one actually learns to enjoy it. Similarly, the effort made to attain meditation may not be pleasant to start with for all of us or beginners, but it brings joy later as persist in its practice and form a habit to meditate. So that is the meaning of this verse, sir, 57. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chandrakala. One important aspect when it comes into various forms of meditation is the importance of past karma. And therefore, some people can come very easily into a meditative state and go also into Nirvikalpaka Samadhi, whereas some people who may not have that kind of good karmas may not be able to attain to a state of Nirvikalpaka Samadhi. And therefore, in Vedantic meditation, if Nirvikalpaka Samadhi happens, it is blessing. But where a lot of importance is given for effort, so effort is important, and that is possible through Savikalpaka Samadhi. Chaitanya, please.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Sorry. Verse 1.58. Yatha Deepo Nivatastha Ityadibhir Anekadha Bhagwan Imam Eva Artham Arjunaya Anya Rupayat. Meaning, Yatha Deepo Nivatastha. By the example of a flame in a breezeless spot, Ityadibhir Anekadha, and by various other ways, Bhagwan Imam Eva Artham, Bhagwan Sri Krishna conveys the same idea, Arjunaya Anya Rupayat, to Arjuna by giving many clear examples. Now, Swamy Vidyaranya here is quoting the Bhagavad Gita verse 6.19, where Sri Krishna says that the restrained mind of a yogi who is practicing dhyana yoga of the Atma is like a lamp in a windless pot which does not flicker. So he is talking about Nididhyasanam or Vedantic meditation, which is required to handle the deficiencies in sadhana chatustaya sampatti. How is it detected? It is detected when the jnanam does not produce the expected result. It is not a deficiency in the Vedanta pramana, but it is a lack in the student itself in understanding. So what do? We gradually improve the student's mind, and then the Vedanta seems to become more powerful. Not that there is an increase in the Vedanta's efficiency, but it is an improvement in the student's capacity to grasp the knowledge. Take the case of the child and the father listening to the English news. There is a difference in understanding the news by the father and the child. As the child improves his English knowledge, his understanding of the news also deepens. The progression in understanding is not in the pramana, but it is in the state of the seeker. Therefore, Nididhyasanam improves the state or the mind of the seeker of knowledge. It is a means for removal of any deficiency in the knowledge of the student. It is not for improving the pramana. So it is needed, Nididhyasanam is needed because the deficiency in the student, if he has not gained sadhana chatustaya sampanna, it blocks the effectiveness of the Vedanta. So how do we refine the mind? It starts before the Vedantic study. Refinement of this mind is done through karma and upasana yoga. After Vedantic study, we do Nididhyasanam to get sadhana chatustaya sampatti. This Nididhyasanam can be done in several ways. Yogic meditation is one of the methods where Ashtanga yoga is adopted. Ashtanga yoga talks about 4 stages. Dharana is trying to fix the mind on teaching. Second, dhyana is fixing the mind on the meditator, and absorption is samadhi. And when this absorption becomes effortless, it is called Nirvikalpaka Samadhi. So when there is an effortless absorption, the will does not function. The meditator is resolved, and meditation thus becomes automatic and effortless. And the division between the jnata and the jnaya are gone, and therefore it is called as Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Now, Vidyaranya has adopted this Yoga Shastra here. And to reinforce his views, he quotes the Bhagavad Gita verse, the 19th verse of the 6th chapter, where Sri Krishna elaborates Nirvikalpa Samadhi and compares it to a flame kept in a protected place. Let's see this verse, Gita verse. Yatha Deepo Nivatastho Nengate Sopama Smrita Yogino Yata Chittasya Yunjato Yogam Atmanaha. Sri Krishna says, Sa Upama Smrita. The following simile is mentioned, Yata Chittasya Yoginaha, for the restrained mind of a yogi. Yunjitaha, who is practicing Yogam Atmanaha, Dhyana Yoga of the Atma. Yata Deepa Nivatastha is like a lamp in a windless pot, na ingate, which does not flicker. Now, in this verse, Krishna gives the example of a lamp to illustrate meditation. When a lamp is kept in an open place, it flickers because of the breeze. The direction in which the lamp will flicker is unpredictable. So too, in meditation, our thoughts are like a flickering lamp. Some other thoughts come and disturb our meditative thoughts. We are not even aware that we have drifted off. But when the flame is protected by an enclosure, it remains steady. Krishna says that this steady flame corresponds to Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And what can protect us from disturbances? He says Vairagya and Bhakti are the two enclosures that one can provide the mind to protect it from disturbance. So Krishna prescribes yogic meditation as one type of nididhyasana, where the lamp, the deepaha, represents the individual mind, the antakarana. The steady flame represents a mind utterly focused on a single thought, free from distractions of sense objects or ragadvesha. And the windless place symbolizes the inner state of dispassion, vairagya, and the sense control, dhamma, that must be cultivated to achieve this steadiness. The goal is a state of unwavering meditation, samadhi, on the true nature of the Atma. Now, between Bhagavad Gita and Panchadashi, there's a shift in perspective between and the timing of the shloka. In Bhagavad Gita, the verse is a prescriptive instruction. Lord Krishna is saying, "O Arjuna, your mind should be like this steady flame. Here is how to practice it." It is a goal to be achieved through karma yoga, bhakti, and abhyasa. Whereas in Panchadashi, the verse is descriptive. Swamy Vidyaranya is saying, for the wise person, the instrument of knowledge is this steady flame. Okay, and let me explain how this flame-like mind functions to destroy ignorance. It is a description of an achieved state. So, in essence, the Gita uses the verse to prescribe the medicine, while Panchadashi uses the same verse to analyze the effect of that medicine once it has been properly administered. Both are essential for a complete understanding. One tells you how to get there, and the other, thank you.
Thank you, Chaitanya. There was a little interruption towards the conclusion. So, what is the role of meditation in Vedanta? In Vedanta, the role of meditation is primarily to fill the deficiencies that a person might have during the sadhana chatushtaya sampanna. All of us, when we come to Vedanta, we have bypassed many of the preparatory qualifications like Viveka, Vairagya, Shama, Adi, Shakta, Sampatti. Now, if a person comes with all the preparations in a very high percentage, the moment the teacher tells you the Mahavakya, the student gets it instantly. Now, because we have the lack of preparation, we have to do Vedantic forms of meditation in the form of various forms of nididhyasana, which can be open eye meditation in the later state, initially closed eye meditation. It can be on Shabda Anuvidya. That means I take the Mahavakya and meditate on that. Or Drishya Anuvidya. That means even while I'm keeping my eyes closed, a certain thought comes. But from that thought, I go to the source. And that is how we are trained to meditate in yoga. Dr. Divakar, please.
Thank you, sir. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. So, we have seen till now the sadhanas, the various sadhanas that a sadhaka goes through in order to attain moksha, the liberation. So, we have covered all these topics in Panchadashi, Brahman, the reality, Jagat, the world, Jiva, the individual, moksha, what is moksha, all that has been talked about. Sadhanas, till this recent samadhi states, different states of samadhis, all of them are the part of sadhanas. Now we will see the shift from sadhana to dharma. How to lead our life after we attain the reality. That is the topic which is covered in the next set of verses. So before we get to the verse, a little bit about the dharma itself. So we all know about the word dharma and we use it in various contexts. In Vedanta, in the Shastras, dharma has several meanings. The root word for the dharma is dhr, which is really, really important. The meaning of dhr is to uphold, to sustain, to support, or to hold together. When we say Sanatana Dharma, that which upholds the Sanatana values, the Sanatana knowledge. The very essence of Sanatana itself means that which has no beginning and no end, which is nothing but Brahman itself. There you can see the various meanings of Sanatana, and to uphold all of this is the way of life. And we will see a multi-layered understanding of Dharma also. Sanatana as the essential nature, the Swarupa of a thing. For example, just now, the example of the light in a place where there is no breeze was talked about. So there, what is there in the light is the fire. What is the essential nature of the fire? It is nothing but the heat and the light. Same with the sun also. So what is the essential nature of the sugar, which is the sweetness? Just like that, the essential nature of all of us is Satchidananda. So the supreme dharma of a human being is to recognize and abide to this true nature. So that is one of the topmost definitions of the word dharma. The second definition which is commonly used is the Samanya Dharma. The first one is the Swarupa Dharma. Second is the Samanya Dharma. Samanya Dharma means that which upholds the universal cosmic order. The third one is Dharma as Swadharma, to do one's own personal duties. In Bhagavad Gita, that is what is the essence which is talked about by Lord Krishna. The first word of Bhagavad Gita itself is Dharma, and the last word of Bhagavad Gita is Mama. So Mama Dharma is Swadharma, which is the other definition. And the fourth definition which is commonly used is Dharma as the means to the ultimate fulfillment, as sadhana itself. So Dharma Shastra leads to Moksha Shastra. If you look at Dharma Shastra, the first word which says is Athato Dharma Jignasa, whereas in Brahma Sutras it says Athato Brahma Jignasa. So know what is this Dharma. So Dharma as a precursor, as a stepping stone towards the moksha. So these are all the different definitions which are used. In this particular context, the first two are the ones which are talked about. Next slide, sir. So if we dwell deeper into this first two definitions, we talked about how does now the sadhana part is over, which means we have all got the gnanam and we have are all the jivan muktas. At least for the theoretical reason, we can take that. So how does this jivan mukta live in this mithya jagat? So that is dharma. After gaining the knowledge of Brahma Satyam, how do we live? So that is dharma. Principles to be known to enable us to live harmoniously in the changing world without getting caught in the web of delusion. The way of life is again dharma. Dharma provides a crucial link between the reality and the unreality, which is again Brahman and Maya. It deals with the laws governing out of interaction within this world. I've taken some of these verbatims from Chinfo. I think it's brilliant. I think I'll just read through that. Dharma is the applied spiritual science or the bottom line of the Vedanta by which human life can fully express the glory of the spirit. When life is lived with full awareness of our spiritual nature, the outcome is a completely natural obedience to the regulatory laws of the life. Such a life incurs no karma, no accumulation of the karmic dirt. In terms of karma, such a life is like writing on the water. No trace of it remains. This is how the sages live. Jivan Mukta, when they act, the karmas doesn't affect them because there is no kartatvam or bhoktatvam. There is no doership or the receivership. Dharma is the applied spiritual science for a life of peace, purpose, and finally the self-realization. Very often this question is asked, what do I do after realizing? How do I lead my life? That is a section which is covered here. Just now Chaitanya Madam also talked about it. So in a Sthita Prajna portion in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, all of them, it is told that Sthita Prajna leads that way. For a realized person, he leads the life like that. For a sadhaka, that is the manual to be followed. That is how one will have to change their lives and follow those things. So it is that which holds you, your family, society, and the entire cosmos together in a harmonious way. It is the intelligent way to live a life while preparing for the ultimate freedom. This is for the sadhaka. Next slide, sir. So in this slide, especially the verses from 59 to 60, we will see how this karma is swiftly replaced by dharma. So punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, as we know, is because of the self-ignorance. And for a ignorant person, because of the accumulated karma, this life will carry on because of the sanchita, the accumulated karmas. We all have studied this in the law of karma. Sanchita is that accumulated karmas from the previous janmas. And therefore, in order to exhaust those punyas and papas, we keep on taking this birth. So we need to be aware and cash in on the punya karmas that we have got in this life. It is very rare that we get an opportunity to get exposed to such sacred texts like Panchadashi under the able Guru Swami Paramarthananda, and also this particular satsang led by Timappa sir. It's our blessing only, and how do we cash in is up to us. And it is a criminal waste of this rare opportunity if we don't cash in on the available punyas, available fructification of these punyas. So the two dharmic principles that govern our law of karma, which are the accumulation of karma. Karma can only be accumulated in the human birth, not in any other lower forms of the birth. Discharge of the karmas takes the form of punya and papa. Not only one way, it is two way. Punya and papas, both of them gets discharged in the human life. In the next slide we will see, we'll go to the proper verse. Another we have samsari, over the countless ages, countless births, we have accumulated these karmas, sanchita karma, kotayaha. So we have accumulated and piled up this sanchita karma. Through this sadhana, we talked about Nirvikalpaka and Savikalpaka sadhana. Ignani, all of them are destroyed. All of them gets kind of irradiated in a way. That is the terminology used in Tattva Bodha. Anena vilayam yanti. All of them, all the karmas have gone. Sanchita is gone. Agami is not there because there is no new karmas which are accumulated. Prarabdha will continue so long as the body mind remains. So then everything is gone. What remains? The last line, very important. Shuddha dharmaha vivartate. The pure dharma begins to grow. So it is karma for an ignorant, dharma for an enlightened. When one attains the Nirvikalpaka Samadhi, let us say Jivan Mukta, then again two dharmic principles govern: destruction of all karmas and then spontaneous expression of dharma. Because of pure sattva nature, the ideal behavior and conduct of the Jivan Mukta emerges. It is again effortless. Embodiment of dharma is the state of the Sthita Prajna. His actions do not produce any karmas, as there is not a shred of ego, and all the actions are for the Loka Sangraha only. Jivan Mukta is a living manual on how to conduct oneself in the life. Next slide, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Divakar,
Yes, sir.
for a nice. Are you done?
I think so. So next
One
slide.
more slide.
Anything? I don't think. Okay. So there is a logic for the Sanchita Karma destruction at the moment of the realization. So how does Sanchita Karma go away? So there is a beautiful explanations given here also. Two explanations are given in the scriptures. How will that get kind of irradiated or destroyed? The first example given is karmas operate only at the phenomenal level, at the ephemeral level. Just like how a person stealing in a dream is not punished in the wakeful state, karmas also disappear for a spiritually awakened person. So when one becomes Brahmana, so you see all the different stages. So when one becomes a Brahmagnani, the karmas are not there. He has transcended the body mind. Therefore, the karmas do not apply. That is one example which is given. And karmas belong only to the ego, the body, mind, intellect, speech, or the instruments of the ego. All karmas belong to ego only. The instruments can't be held responsible for the ego's problem. Through Gnanam, the ego dies. Therefore, the entire Sanchita file is also closed with the remark that client is deceased written across it. It's as if like, that person doesn't exist anymore. So when Aham Brahmasmi reigns, aham jivosmi has to evacuate the place. Both can't coexist. When the light arrives, there is no place for the darkness. So this is the true meaning of the moksha and the gnanam, and that's how a Jivan Mukta leads the life. Hari Om, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Devakar, for a nice explanation of this verse and also bringing about what is this dharma and what it has to do with karma. If you will remember, the last teaching verse of the Bhagavad Gita is also called the Charama Shloka. And in the Charama Shloka, you have Sarva Dharman Parityagya. Give up all dharma. Now, Bhagavad Gita's Dharma Shastra. How can you give up all dharma? Adi Shankara at that state begins to say here dharma refers to karma. Give up all karma. Give up all karma in the sense of a sense of doership. And when you have given up all sense of doership, that means when a person becomes into a state of sahaja samadhi, as exactly said here, the client is no longer there, when there is no ego, when sarva dharman parityagya is like sarva karman parityagya. There is no more sense of I am doing, and therefore there is no agami karma. The sanchita karma file is now closed. The last verse, Dola, please.
So Panchadashi, chapter 1, Tattva Viveka Prakaranam, consisting of 65 verses. It can be classified into 5 parts. Verse 1 and 2, Guru Namaskara and introduction of the subject matter. It starts with a Mangala Charan. Then verse 3 to 10, essence of Vedanta or Vedanta Sara, meaning the essence of Vedanta means the Jivatma Paramatma Ikkam is described here. Then verse 11 to 30, cause of samsara or samsara karanam. Here the inert matter principle prakriti is introduced here. Then verse 31 to 64, means of moksha or moksha marga. This is an important section. This consists of more than 30 verses. Then conclusion is chapter verse 65, conclusion. This gives a summary of the whole text. Next slide, sir. So coming to the verse proper, Dharma megha imam prahu samadhim yoga vitta maha varshati esho jato dharma amrita dhara sahasrashaha. Word meaning, dharma megham, cloud of dharma. Like rain-bearing cloud showered rain, similarly punyam-bearing cloud showered dharma. Imam prahuhu, thus is described. Yoga vitta maha, masters in yoga. Amrita dhara sahasrashaha, nectar of dharma gushing down. So in this very poetic verse, Swamy Vidyaranya explains that experts in yoga call this great, wonderful experience as Dharma Megha Samadhi, as the universal torrential rain drenches and inundates our consciousness, and we are soaked in this nectarine experience of cosmic reality. So verse 59, 60, 61 all talk about the Nididhyasana Phalam or benefits of Nididhyasana. So Nididhyasana is assimilation of knowledge acquired through Sravanam and Mananam. And what is the result? An effortless state of steady peace, inner contentment, and freedom from bondage. So there are two philosophies discussed here. One is Yoga Shastra philosophy and another one is Vedantic philosophy. Next slide. So according to Yoga Shastra, cloud of dharma rains down streams of punya or spiritual merit described as being nectar, amrita dhara. So according to Yoga Shastra, practice samadhi, then engage into deep meditation, then thereafter accumulate punya, and then attain moksha. So liberation is achieved as a future event. But however, as per Vedanta, Liberation is not a future event. We are already mukta. So it is the realization that moksha is not a distant spiritual object or external object or a goal to be achieved. It is the awareness of permanent peace, security, and happiness, Sat Chit Ananda, that lies within all of us. True happiness comes from within. This profound wisdom reminds us that happiness and fulfillment depend on one's inner ability to connect with the divine light within oneself. To cultivate this inner light, we should focus on the good experiences in life and let go of the negative. To summarize, next slide, sir. The goal according to Yoga Shastra is accumulate punya, and liberation is a future event. Whereas as per Vedanta, it is dissolving vasanas. The goal is to dissolve vasanas, and liberation is achieved as an existing reality. A similar example can be found in the Bhagavad Gita 13th chapter, where Sri Krishna says, Amanityam adambhityam ahimsa shanti rajyavam acharyopasanam shaucham stairjam atma vinigraha indriyartheshu vairagyam anahankara evacha janma mrittu jara vyadhi dukkha doshanu darshanam asaktiranabhishangah putrodara grihadishu nityam cha samachittattam ishto anishto papattishu मयि चानन्य योगेन भक्तिरप्यभिचारिणी विविक्तदेशस्य वित्तं जरतिर्जनसंसदि अध्यात्मज्ञाननित्यत्वं तत्त्वज्ञानार्थदर्शनम् एतद्ज्ञानम् इति प्रोक्तम् अज्ञानं यद् अतो अन्यथा. Here Sri Krishna talks about the virtues, habits, behaviors and attitudes that purify one's life and illuminate it with the light of wisdom. The same benefits will be continued in the next verse. Thank you.
Thank you, Dola, for a nice explanation of this verse and also to bring about the distinction between Yoga Shastra and Vedanta. In Vedanta, we are very clear that moksha is not a sadhyam, it is not a goal, it is a siddha vastu. It is already there. And therefore, there are certain obstacles that have to be removed. One of the obstacles is avarana. So that's why you go to a teacher and get the knowledge that I am not a limited being, but I am the limitless Brahman. Then the second obstacle is our past vasanas. To remove those past vasanas, we do a process of nidithyasana. And this is the big distinction between yoga and Vedanta. Let us have a quiz conducted by Ullas. Ullas, please.
Thank you, sir. So as we all know that we do the quiz just to make sure that we have really assimilated the knowledge discussed in the class today. So we'll start with the verse 57. We have seen that our goal is to attain Nirvikalpaka Samadhi. So let's say in a given meditation or given sadhana session, I attain Nirvikalpaka Samadhi. So then that is what is useful. All the efforts until then are a waste. Now, is this statement true or false?
I would say it's false because Nirvikalpaka Samadhi may or may not happen, but all our efforts to attain to it will certainly have a beneficial effect.
Correct, sir. Yes. So this statement itself is false because there is a great assurance given by Swamy Vidyaranya to all of us. And this is such a soothing thing that every day, whatever dhyan we do, whatever all the sadhanas that we do, sometimes we get a feeling that is it really to any end? Am I whatever I'm doing, is it really going to serve the purpose I'm going to reach? I'm not getting anywhere close to Savikalpa or Nirvikalpa Samadhi. But he gives us an assurance that nothing goes for a waste. It's all accumulating. It is that Saptavada. To reach that Saptavada, we have to keep eating till the sixth one. So everything is really helping there. So next question is, practice of meditation helps to reach samadhi. That we know. So we have been all saying ki we should do meditation. But there is, people also talk about merits, punya, good karma and all that. That really has nothing to do with what our Nirvikalpaka Samadhi attainment. Is that true or false?
Practice of meditation helps to reach a samadhi, not merits of punya. See, there is a certain truth. There is an importance of practice of meditation, but also there is a big role of our past karma. So punyas do play a role as far as the ultimate of meditation or Nirvikalpaka Samadhi is concerned. So you can take the answer relative truth and false, because punya is required. Please answer.
Correct, sir. So the answer is false. That it is not that only meditation is what helps, but also the merits, the past life as well as this life, both lives merits all the punya. So what it tells us is that we need to continue doing good karma also, not for the phala of the karma, but it helps us establish in that dhyana also, in that meditation also, more and more. So the merits also help. We have to do both. We have to do good deeds also and practice meditation also. Next slide, sir. What sustains the Brahmakar Vritti? We are asked to get to that state where the only thing that we think of is I am Brahman. So is it the initial force momentum or the good karmas or the constant efforts? Which one is it that helps us sustain that Brahmakar Vritti over time?
Brahmakara Vritti requires all of the above.
Correct, sir. Correct. That's a straightforward thing. So next one, Swamy Vidyaranya is actually presenting a very original thought here. This is not being discussed in any other scripture. Is that the correct statement, or he's using some other established scriptures to put his point through?
Swami Vidyaranya is known for his original thoughts. However, he freely borrows and quotes from other sources. Here, of course, he has borrowed from the Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter.
Correct, sir. So his main source is Gita here, where he's talking about the deepa, that the light unwavered of the deepa, unwavered by any wind. So that is specially given in the Gita 6th chapter. So he's borrowing from that, and that we have seen with many other great saints, that they are not only claiming that this is what is mine, but trying to bring everything established so that it kind of bolsters their claim also. Next question. Which of the following are true? Multiple things can be true. We have to just identify which one. So it says only human birth is capable to recharge our account of karma or discharge our account of karma. Or is it that any other, let's say, animals or any other insects, they're also able to do that? Which one is it, sir? Is it true or false?
So each of these have an answer, is it?
Yes, sir. So
Okay.
the first one is just...
okay, go ahead.
First one is only asking whether it is only human birth in which we can recharge or discharge our karma, or there is...
That is true. That is true.
Correct, correct. So the next one is that in human birth, we only... So sir, this has the answers. You have to go
You
back.
have the answers all right. In human birth, we only reduce our karma. Not at all. We can go down also, because we can increase our papa, and so our future births can be a lower births also.
Correct. So basically we can increase our papa also, we can increase our punya also. That also accumulates our karma. So the our practice has to be like how much we do things without the sense of doership. Once we do that, then only we start cutting down without accumulating more. So in human birth, as we said, we can do both. And the third one is like, why do we get rebirths? Is it because of the accumulated karma? If you have that accumulated karma, does it really guarantee our rebirth, or there is a different thing to that? So is it true or false?
It is true. Accumulated karma guarantees our rebirth.
Yeah. If we have the karma accumulated, that punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam cannot go away. So this is something that we really need to think about. Next question. What is the material cause and efficient cause of our physical environment?
The material cause of our environment is avidya, and the efficient cause is maya.
Correct. Next one is once we attain the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, now there is always a question of that there is a agami karma, there is a prarabdha karma, but then there is a lot of things, staying in that sanchita karma, that cloud storage that we have. Now this Nirvikalpa Samadhi, can it really destroy all of that or not? So here the statement says that it does destroy. So is it true or false?
Nirvikalpaka Samadhi can destroy all our karmas. That means it can destroy sanchita karma and agami karma, but prarabdha karma becomes, becomes falsified.
Correct. So absolutely right. And one might have a question that how come here I am starting with the bank balance of prarabdha and whatever transactions I'm doing of agami, how is it going to really burn my sanchita and all? So there are examples that we saw in the session also, that when we wake up from the dream, it is not that whatever good or bad we have done in the dream will be punished for that. So Nirvikalpa Samadhi is something like coming out of the dream of this samsara. We are waking up from that. So once we do that, then all those things automatically gets burnt up, because now we are in a higher order of reality. So everything which was in the lower order of reality doesn't really mean anything. It just becomes irrelevant. Next question. One can attain samadhi, but even after that his karma will continue to accumulate or demerit as applicable. Is that true?
So I had said once a person attains to karma, there is no more accumulation because the sense of doership is not there.
Correct, sir. Absolutely. Yeah. So he might continue to do his things for Loka Sangraha, but he's not doing it from the fact that, from the mindset that I am doing it. So then there is no punya or papa actually getting accumulated of that. So once a samadhi attains, the lower I gets dropped, and then there is no accumulation of karma then. Next question. Now we saw that, okay, let's say somebody has really attained Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Now they still continue to act in the world, and now they personify righteousness. So that is one statement. Is that true? And then the second part of the statement is that now that they are doing everything right and also, then it sometimes does creep into their egos that, oh, I have achieved the highest state, I am doing such a great thing and all that. So that's the second part of it. So is it true or false?
First part is true. A realized saint personifies righteousness. The second part is false because it does not bolster his ego because there is no sense of I in a realized state.
Correct. So it's like a previous question only, that yes, they do whatever is according to the dharma, because they're not even doing it according to dharma. They're just doing it, and what is happening happens according to dharma only. Like fire doesn't do anything to become hot. It just does what it does, and then it automatically is hot. So there is no doership there. So once they fall in their real nature, and once that happens, then there is no sense of doership. So no question of bolstering the ego. Yeah, I think this is the last, sir.
Thank you very much. It was a nice teaching quiz to clarify our learning.
Thank you, sir. Hariom.
We have come to the end of today's satsanga, which has enriched our understanding of Vedantic meditation and how it is different from yogic meditation, and also the multi-layered definition of dharma in the Vedantic context. We are deeply indebted to our revered teacher, Dr. Timappa Hegde sir, for his relentless effort in guiding us in our pursuit of studying Vedanta. Grateful thanks to all the speakers for bringing in a lot of clarity to our understanding, and Sri Ullas for ably giving us a brief about the verses covered in the previous session. The teaching quiz helped us quickly check our level of absorption of today's verses, and thanks to Sri Ullas for facilitating the same. Param Vedanta thanks each one of you for your continued interest in the pursuit of Atma Vidya through our series of sessions, and also for your positive feedback. Our next session is on Monday, the 17th of November, for session 19 of Mananam series covering Kathopanishad verses chapter 2, Valli 2, mantra 1 to 3. We conclude today's session with our usual Shanti mantra, and you may please chant along. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum.